One second. Okay. Okay, so got my peel and coffee. I had another realization about the weather. Um, okay, so we've got Arizona, right? They've been getting flooded like holy crap. But we also got to think that, um, it's a desert. It's a desert. So what does it need to have perfect energy distribution? It needs to be a more balanced situation. So because it's such an extreme temperature and such an extreme arid area, it's going to need water. It's going to need water to make it a more balanced energy and maybe not so severe. And, it's like this energy distribution, this mixing of hot, cold, salty, um, sweet. It's like, you've got the glaciers melting. It's creating the energy distribution in the oceans to be different. It's like distributing the energy in a more balanced nature. That's what I think, because we've got all these glaciers, like, top, bottom, and it's like there's got to be a way to have perfect energy weight distribution. uh, Maybe that's the reason why the earth is like, on its side. Like, maybe it's the weight distribution, and maybe that's the reason why things are finally changing. Maybe we were a little too negative about something, and then by the world waking up and being more positive, it's like we literally changed the temperature. And that's probably the reason why I made the video about geological locations and emotion, is because I kind of feel like whether or not we're actually positive about it, it's going to happen anyways, because the earth knows what it needs. But I think by being more positive about it, it just makes the transition like way easier. So I saw like a picture of my map in my mind, picture of a map in my mind, and it was like, I was worrying about Arizona because that's like a big one for me. I lived half my life in Arizona, half my life in Connecticut, and it's like Connecticut's good right now. That's where I live right now, Connecticut. Uh, and then we got Arizona, and that's where it was getting like sandstorms and floods and all kinds of stuff, right? So I'm like, okay, well, one's really, really arid, but Connecticut's kind of like in the middle. It's not like over the top hot. It's not over the top cold. It's like, yeah, it snows a lot sometimes, but it really, it ain't bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a polar vortex. It's not a arid desert. It's like that Mediterranean. It's like right in the middle, the green zone, the center, when it comes to temperature. Okay, and then we've got like Minnesota, and they're having like a hard time. They're getting like some serious polar vortex. They're getting like some serious cold weather, and I'm like thinking in my head like, okay, well, that place has always been cold, so what's the dealio with that? And then I looked at the map in my head, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, the tropics, right? So it's like you got the side to side, you got the top to bottom, you got the northwest, or north, south, east, west, right? So it's like if it's real hot in the deltas, in like the Gulf of Mexico, and like Florida, stuff like that. It's like this tropical zone. Okay, it's like very hot. It's like 100 and something degrees. I mean, it's not super hot, but it's like very humid. Okay, so it's like that energy distribution there. I feel like that's connected, because you got one that's like super cold and you got one that's like super hot and muggy. But maybe what's happening is like the water distribution from the caps, the polar caps. Maybe that water is like rushing over land. And so when dreams have like, excuse me, when people have dreams about like tsunamis and waves and like floods and stuff, maybe that's what it is. It's just a weight. The water, like distribution, the water energy distribution that's actually moving from these polar caps in the sky, or rain, whatever, and it moves over the land, and it does what it needs to do because of these extreme temperature areas. You know what I mean? And maybe the reason why it got that way was because of certain people's energy fields in those certain locations. And I also think that it's not just right now, but it's also like from back in the day. It's like we got these two separate areas, right? But I mean, what if one is just the past and one is like the the present, you know what I mean? Like, what if this is just like an older picture that we're looking at as being something separate? What if we're actually looking at another picture completely changed while our picture is totally changing? Like, maybe we're like doing this distribution of water and energy. Yeah, so I guess, you know, I was just thinking about that, and the picture is really what solidified it for me. It was, I was able to look at it from like a mental perspective, by, like, you know, how I said it's like when you hear something here, it's like I can literally hear something here. It's like you're using something about this, you know, there's something about this. It's like whenever it's like there's always something behind you. It's almost like it echoes. It's like echolocation. And you can hear it wherever you hear it first. You know that there's something coming on the other side, and vice versa. And maybe that's the reason why there's like the north, south, east, west, and why things are happening like on the map and in the globe like that, because it's distributing energy, distributing. You know, you got like here, here, and then you got here, here, and so maybe it's kind of like, you know, if you see something crazy happen right here, look at its mirror flipped opposite, you know. Maybe you can predict it, you know, that way. Maybe that's how weather is predicted. I have no idea. Just an idea. Food for thought. Okay. Thanks for watching.